Good morning, everyone. This is BizChicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business. It's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today we're here with Coach Caren from the Money Mindset Academy, and she is about to tell us some wonderful things that can bring profits in daily.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Coach, it's so good to see you. She's here all the way from Toronto, Canada.
So good to see your face, Terry.
It's so great to be in the house. I'm telling you, it's great to be seen.
Yes.
So we want to give a shout out to my partner, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. I'm Terralina from California Cover Ups, and we're the Biz Chicks. We have Coach Caren in the house. So get your questions ready, get your pens out, because you know she always has something that will help us grow our business. How you doing this morning, Coach?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Oh my goodness. I
Let's
don't know.
go water.
There's just been a lot of interesting things going on with signals and things, especially in California. We've had a lot of interesting weather and conditions. So I just want to welcome you to the show. And what's our topic today?
Today we're talking about passion because earlier this month, we talked about consistency and we talked about focus last week. And there's still so much in all those areas to talk about. But this week we want to talk about passion because all three needs to work together. They're family, all three of them are family and they really need to work together.
Oh,
because when they do, you are a powerhouse. So we're going to cover what it is, how does it make you feel, and then, but why does it interrupt and cause you to procrastinate? Because it does.
Did I spell that right? Why does that look funny to me?
Passion, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Words do that sometimes.
Yes, like double S. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, words do that. Yeah, so, they work hand in hand. So what is passion?
Mm-hmm.
Passion is this is how I describe it. I mean, I could go get the meaning, but I'm just going to tell you guys how I describe it. Passion is truly when you feel it so deep. And when you have a child, if you have a child, ever was pregnant, no matter what was going on through the pregnancy, when that child is birthed, you are excited, you're joyous. You can't get enough of just looking in his or her face, talking silly things to the child that she heard. No.
It will make us act silly, won't it?
And that's what our passion does too. Because we've birthed something. We've birthed this idea that was given to us. We've actually accepted that it's something that we can do since it was given to us, and we can actually do it. We're excited and we want to get to it, and we don't want any rules around it. We don't want anything that is going to limit this play. And that's why focus and consistency is so hard when you're in your passion, because consistency is doing it all the time. But sometimes we get carried away not understanding consistency don't mean you do it longer than you should periods of time, because when you do, your body get tired, your mind get tired, and you keep thinking, well, that's not really my passion, but it is, but you give it way too much time the first day or week or month. And so you're getting burnt out, but you're not realizing it. You're thinking it's because you don't like it anymore. But you really got to think beyond that and think, too, if it's something I love, it was placed in my heart and I want to do it, it is my passion. Food has been the number one for me from the time I was young. And food brought money, which is one of my passions to talk about, to deal with, to handle, and not be afraid of. And because of that, everything I do, no matter if I try to stray from it, food comes back into play. I could explain anything through food.
Oh, okay.
That's happened to be one of my passions. I teach people how to do business through my food initially. Now I'm so, rounded in different areas that I don't only have to use that, but that is what comes out. That's why I want to share. That's what I want to talk about. That's what I want to refer to, because it's such a deep passion of me. Plus, it's also the thing that pulled me out of poverty. So when I think about, money,
Mm-hmm.
and food, they go hand in hand, because I decided to use something that I know that I was good at, because I practice it, by the way. It didn't matter if I'm passionate about it. I had ideas, I know I could do it. But the practice, which is the consistency on a regular basis and keeping focus to what I have to get done,
Uh-huh.
together, really and truly, truly, truly push you over the top.
Mm.
And then I said, how does it make you feel? It makes you feel wonderful. And as Sterling had said several times, if you want that feeling to stay, you can't tell people too early.
Mm.
You can only disclose it to the people who's going to buy from you if this is something you're going to be selling right away. And so you can't speak on it to the people who is not your customer.
Oh, okay. So we can't tell everyone, because some people are dream killers. Is that what you mean?
Yes,
Okay.
they
Yeah,
are.
we talked about.
Yes, they are. They are.
Mhm.
And because they are so frightened, because they're frightened in their spirit, it's not because they mean to be a dream killer, but they're so afraid of the things that they were called to do that they haven't done, that you're representing in their heads what they have not done, what they could have
Mhm.
done, or what they want to do. And you somehow, without they telling you or you knowing it, they feel that you're taking that away from them. It's not true, but they feel that feeling. And it really makes them behave in not a good way. I remember going on a cruise. We went on a couple of cruises, my first cruise. And we met a couple that I didn't know too well. I knew the girl, but I never met the husband. And he used to be,
What they should have done.
his family had a band. And he was a singer. He could really sing. And, that's what he wanted to be. He wanted to be a musician. He wanted to be a vocalist. And so we connected on that because I used to sing and I used to dance. And one of the things that was hard, we were talking to each other, because people who didn't do that didn't understand. It was hard for me to watch years ago a really good dancer on stage or great singers. Like I can hear the music or I can know that something is happening, but it was hard for me to watch them. And it was hard for me to watch them because this is what I wanted to do. And I couldn't do it because of different circumstances, because of where my life had to lead for betterment. So it's not a blaming anybody thing. It's just where my life had to be for the betterment of myself and my family. So I couldn't pursue it the way I truly wanted to. Because if you're a dancer, you have to give it your all. And you can't, it's not like you can't work, but the kind of work I did was food. And you can't necessarily be doing the things I was doing if you're going to be a dancer, because your weight got to be on point. You got to carry yourself to a certain stature. And it just wasn't. For the singing part, I did it for as long as I could. But again, it take away a lot of time because you got to learn lyrics. You're always on the go. And my responsibility was huge. And I couldn't see how I could do both things efficiently, because we're talking about human beings here and they needed me. And kids can't wait till you finish doing what you're doing. Kids need you when they need you. So, I never saw it as a burden, mind you. This is not me talking about it as a burden. It's just that it's something I needed to do and I did it. So it was painful to watch other people live out. I know it's their dream, but I feel like my dream was being lived out
By others.
By others. And I couldn't go to Terry. I couldn't even go to the movie. If I was going to the movies and I realized the movie had a lot of dancing and that sort of stuff happening, I would be there going to buy my ticket and I'm about to and I'm going to watch something else. I'm not going to watch it. I was ridiculous, but I feel like I couldn't tell anybody because it seems so stupid.
Because it's so personal.
yeah, it was so personal. So when we were on the cruise, he said something and I start talking. Well, everybody around the table probably thought we were crazy because it's like they disappear into thin air because I finally got somebody who understood how important this was to me and how much years it took for me to watch a dancer on stage. Because also I had a little glimpse of it and he was saying the same thing. You know, when I was 21, I had a chance to be back on stage dancing, but it lasted for like a year or two. And then of course the life happens again. And you know, I wasn't able to, because the better you become a dancer, the more you have to travel. So I was moving now out of our city and going to several different cities because I was on tour. And yes, and I was doing weekends and I would try to do like 3 days, but I wouldn't go longer. And then the demand was like, you know, Caren, if you're going to be a head dancer, then you're going to need a week. We're going away for a week. And I had to bow out. I cried my way out. Let me just tell you, nobody saw, but I good morning, Brenna. But I cried my way out knowing that I that was the last time I was going to be on stage dancing.
So we're talking about passion this morning, and Coach just shared with us how she had to delay her passion from time to time because life happens.
Yeah, yeah, and so you guys want to know me? That was my like first and foremost. I still love to dance. If I'm at a party, I'm the first on the floor getting up and just enjoying myself. That's my happy place. That's where you guys see me dancing and stuff. It's just my happy place. Yeah. I said, really make me feel good. But I had to really be a grown up and say like what it is that I'm passionate about beside dance and you know, being a singer. And because I had the gift of food anyway, I decided to just pursue it. And I love making money. So I rarely got pulled into. So sometimes, you know, our passion, we got several different passions. And we talk about passion today, Brenna. We have several different passions, but we don't get to pursue all of them. Or we don't get them at all times. So,
yes,
you know,
all at once.
All at once. And, you know, my passion, the first part that I talk about saved me in terms of my sanity going through teenage years and stuff, because I was able to put the focus into that, regardless of the struggle that was happening. Because I could, you know, I could go release when I'm singing and when I'm dancing. And I guess it was a temporary one. It was just to last until I was my early 20s. And then the rest, you know, that was being developed, by the way, at the same time, took forefront. So, you know, when you got a passion, you really want to sit with it and understand that feeling of it. As I said earlier, don't tell it to the people who is not ready yet, who like me with what I just talked about. And it causes them to not say or act in the best interest for you, but because they're feeling their feelings also and feeling like you're taken away from them at some level, even if it's unconscious, you know, because I didn't know it was until the first time at the movies. I didn't understand how it affected me just in different scenarios, you know. Or a friend of mine, again, a girl in the dance troupe, when she came by and she says, Caren, oh my God, girl, if you were there, I got the role that you wanted. Like, could you not stop by?
I hear you. I hear you. Seems like someone else is living out your dream. So my question to those of you watching is, what are you passionate about? Could you put that in the chat?
Yes.
So we'll know, what is your passion? Do you have several passions?
Right.
I love seeing the faces of my customers when they put on something that makes them look really, really special. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm on assignment to keep people looking beautiful.
Yes.
And so when I get juiced when I create things that make them really look beautiful. I don't know how else to put it.
Yes.
Their whole demeanor changes. I mean, their facial expression. That's what I'm passionate about.
Yes. And you do so much more for them. You see the facial, but inside they're feeling so much better about themselves. They're thinking where I can wear this and really be a powerhouse because you're out there. I don't care how great you are inside. Whatever you're looking like outside really affects you. You could be feeling the greatest inside, but then you look outside and it's not matching with what you're feeling inside. And it could really send you in a spiral down the road, not liking certain things that's happening at the moment with you. But then there's this beautiful thing that you put on, and it just matches how excited you feel, how vibrant, how beautiful you're feeling inside, you know. And now it's expressed in your face. You can see it. It's coming out, so you can see it. So that is truly, we just have to find, once we know it, then how we serve others so that we can see that it's manifesting that way. Because sometimes when we can't see it, it's hard. When I first started talking about money, it was hard to see. I know the transition was because I serve a lot of people who just got served and said nothing. And some people, it was years later before they say anything to me. And some people just in passing, they'll say it. And then some people say, I can't believe you didn't know. Well, because you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
Well, you could have seen how I live or what I do. Where do you think I learned this from? Like, they'll say those sort of things to me, but it wasn't prevalent in my eyes at the time. And I was thinking, when I first started really understanding that this is part of what I do, because it took a moment. Because in my head, I was a caterer. I got my other qualification, but beside that, I had identified as myself. And my mom would say, I can't believe you didn't go and become a chef or something because you're so good at it. And, I'd say to her, but that's not what I want to do. She goes, but you're good at it. Like, how is not something you want to do? You're good at it, So I had to really take it into consideration, understand, and just be firm on me. And I literally had to write it out for me so I could understand exactly what I do. And if that's what it means, then it doesn't matter if you have the schooling for it or what have you. It's still, you have to come to terms that this is my passion and I'm working in it, Now, here comes the part. But why does it interrupt and cause you to procrastinate? Because most of us want to be perfectionists.
Well, Brenda, before we go there, Brenda says creativity and let's work through effective tools are my passion. Sharing them as a gift. I can't always give because of the life circumstances. Yes. So she's saying that she loves helping people, giving them the tools to be creative, and doing less work. But because of the circumstances, like you, she didn't always get to exercise that passion.
Yes. And that could be a little daunting when you can't get to do it and your heart is just full and just wanting to,
Yes.
And interruptions just come. And it's not easy when that's happening. I mean, we know that we have to, but it's not easy when it's happening. It's not easy. And so the part where I was talking about when I said interruption and cause you to procrastinate, it's because the perfectionism in us. When something is your passion, you want to do it really well. You want it to be top notch. And sometimes it's so jumbled in your head that you feel like you can't move forward and it wouldn't be good. But the truth is, it's good enough. It's more than good enough because it's your passion. It's in you. You can't mess up. You're thinking you could mess up, but you can't mess up. That's what, where's my book? It was in the chair. I was sitting there last night with it it's right next to me actually. It's just a regular book, no fancy book, just a 250 page notebook. And I call it my, you can call it your everything book or whatever. Well, what it is really is, even if you're a person not a journalist, like to journal, it's a book where I can go in and write out anything and everything. And I'm not worried because I am a little bit of perfectionist. After my kids, I had to learn to shift my behaviors. And So I'm tending to want to write things and have them line up and be in order. What I had to learn is that I need to get it out my head so I could actually stay in my passion. So if I'm feeling something and I can't get past the block, which causes the procrastination in the first place, I can use this notebook as a place where I go and I write it out. I could say like, I'm so happy with myself. I'm figuring some things out, but I fully well can't understand how to put all the blocks together. What is missing in this specific section? And like I would literally be writing those questions to myself. And as I write it and I ask myself, so what now? What's next? What was the next step? If I can't get it worked out, which is part of procrastination, comes from so many things. I'm going to win. From me, I have to recognize it comes from when I'm close to being successful in a specific area of a specific thing I'm working on. I procrastinate big time. I get there, I get in my head, and I don't like blaming people for this here, but I do know there's a couple of voices that sticks there and make me feel really, they try to make me feel that when I become successful at the time, that nobody's going to want me and nobody's going to want me to be around. And it affected me for so long that I literally would have to write it out, but it's not true. It's a lie. It's a lie to keep me where I was at the time. And I can't let that lie keep affecting me now. And so it could be anything for anybody, but whatever it is, you got to really write it out, get it out of your head. If it means you write it 100 times, I don't care how often, or maybe all week you have to keep writing. It's not true. People still love me. This is not going to happen because I got a lot of money. You notice when people got a lot of money, nobody liked being their friend. Or when people got a lot of money, all family members disappear because they become greedy. Like people was in my ears with certain things that had affected me on a level that I didn't understand, especially once my money started growing. It really did a lot of damage, if you will, in the area. I wouldn't let it stick, but it was coming.
There were a lot of mind games going on. And all of these things, now we've talked about this before, Coach. You told us these things come from our childhood, from our experiences, what we've been told about people with money.
Yes.
What we were led to believe about money and success and so forth and so on.
Yeah. And that's why I talk a lot about receiving money, because when you have a business, you have to receive a lot. And if receiving is bringing up that same feeling of you're taking way too much, it goes back to the same, if you don't clean your plate, the people in Africa is not going to eat. The people in India are not going to eat. When you can't send your scrapings to the people in Africa or India anyway. You
know what I mean? But yes, we were taught that. Eat everything on your plate because children in Africa are starving. And while that is true, that didn't mean that we needed to be gluttons and get fat. But they didn't look at it that way. They looked at it, what they were really saying was it's a blessing to have something.
Yes. And how things are worded really changes how the receiver hear it and processes and do whatever. So then my everything book, where it didn't matter if I'm writing about business or something personal happened, or the business is not where I want it to be, or where I see it and all the list of the things that has to happen. I just get it out of my head so I can go back and see if the same things are coming up. I could see that I've written it already. So I could say to myself, but hey, I've written it already. I did said this is the amount of money I wanted to make if I do this thing. If I'm wasting time procrastinating here, I can't accomplish this. So I can't reap the reward. Whatever that thing is, I have to write it out. If it is trying to take over, I should say. Not everything you got to write, because people say, well, kind of spend my whole time writing. No. Good morning, Maureen. It's that you want to get it out so that it's not holding you back. It's not holding you bondage. There's so many people have a passion, but they wouldn't do it because they allow whatever happens hold them back. I'll tell you this quick story. There's this lady years ago, they were interviewing Canadian women, immigrants who came to Canada. And she said she don't know what it is, but she always wanted to open a coffee shop. And she was a little girl, and she says, I'm going to open a coffee shop one day. And her mom died, unfortunately, when she was a teenager. So it looked like this would never happen. And then life rolled on. She went to high school, blah, blah, blah. She went to university. met her husband, they got married. So she said, oh, definitely, where am I going? Like, this is my life. I'm going to make kids and that it. His job somehow, wherever she was in the country, things were happening and they were able to come here as refugee. And she's passing the coffee shop and she said to her husband, I'm going to open a coffee shop. I always want to. It's my passion. And she said, he looked at her like, you're crazy. You're an educated woman who has a job. Why would you want to open a coffee shop? But she said the passion got stronger and stronger. And she decided to, once she was legally able to do so, she was going to open a coffee shop. And she said, at some point, he started realizing it was, and he helped her and they opened the coffee shop together. He lost a job, so they work on it full time. But he started getting jealous of her and it started becoming this problem. And he was using all the languages that she'd heard before and that had blocked her. And she said it really put such a damper that the coffee shop was about to go belly up. She was going to lose the shop. She's going to lose everything. And they separated at that point because the marriage wasn't doing well or what have you. And so she sat down and she started thinking about why she wanted to open the coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
She realized it was her passion. She said she went to him. She said, listen, it's my passion. It never was yours. You need to go do what you have to do. And we need to be divorced. She said, I told him, she said, we're going to have to be divorced because you are taking out whatever happening to you on me and it's not right. And she said, he agreed and they got a divorce. And she said, once the divorce was finalized, it was like a light bulb moment. She said the weight was gone, no chains, whole bars. And when they did the interview with her, she had owned at the time about 3 or 6 coffee shops. Not only the one. And, she was talking again about working in your passion, staying faithful to the idea that is gifted to you because God gave it to you. And you start realizing, she said, by the way, I didn't know these things at the time because she wasn't a Christian or anything when she had the gift of knowing she wants to open a coffee shop. Mm-hmm. Later on, of course, in life, she became a Christian and what have you. And that also was part of it because I forget what religion there was before she learned about God and what have you. But she said the reason she had to open a coffee shop is because that's her ministry. It wasn't so much the coffee shop that the ministry. She said she helped so much immigrants, so much born Canadians, so many people in so many ways from the coffee shop. Like the people who first knew she when she opened the first coffee shop, that they'll come in and have conversation, who became her friends because she had no friends or relatives here. And the people who, that she ended up, that working with her, that end up being her longtime employee. She said to the coffee shop, she had about 6 was some people who worked with her become part owner in it because she helped them see that they can own something. So this was a deep passion project for her. She says, could you imagine? She said, I'm not knocking my job that I had, but had I not had the gut to say, this is what I'm supposed to do, how many lives I would have missed interacting with. Mm-hmm. And guys, whatever your passion, you have to really see it that way. You're going to make money from it regardless. But when you understand that every time you don't do what you say you're going to do, I like to say, Caren, why do you want to disappoint you? You're like your best client. Like you're your best client. So when you disappoint you, you're hurting you emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And you don't want to do that to anybody. So why would you do that to yourself? So buckle up, buckle down. If it's rest you need, go rest. If it's a day off, go take it. But what are you doing? So.
Wow.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. It's a great thing to work in your passion. And that doesn't take away from being focused and consistent. As I said earlier, the 3 wrapped up together. And I'll tell you the other one when we talk next week, but it really pulls it together when you're consistently working in your passion and you focus about it. Also, people recognize, you don't have to tell them, well, I'm focused and I'm consistent. They'll see it. They'll know it. They'll feel it.
Yes, and they'll see it on your face too.
Yes,
you'll be smiling.
Yes,
you can't help but smile because it just brings out all the joy that you were talking about. The same joy as holding that baby for the first time. Yes, knowing that you have birthed out something really special. Mm-hmm. So, guys, with that, we want to remind you that Coach Caren is here every Wednesday. We'll be talking about your passion next week. Tune in, tell a friend. We'd love to. Hey, ladies, someone on Facebook is shouting out to us. How you doing today?
Hey.
Thanks for tuning in. Those of you who are just coming, I want to remind you that you can catch this on the replay. That was a great story that Coach Caren shared with us, and I think you want to go back and catch it if you didn't get to hear it. Okay. Oh, hi, Dr. Tachi. She says, hi, it's Tachi.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, Doc, she told a great story about a woman in a coffee shop and her passion and how it gave her an opportunity to do some things. So you might want to go back and listen to that story if you didn't catch it at the end. In addition to that, we want to remind you that tomorrow we will be talking with Linus Mullins. She'll be here with Happy Healthy Habits with Robin Shimizu. And we look forward to talking to her. Friday, we'll be talking tech and English. And in the meantime, remember, go to the front of your own
Fine. The weather is causing a little bit of interruption on Terry's end. So if you guys see she looks frozen, that's what's
yeah.
going on.